Imagine you're driving home late at night, taillights flash in your rearview mirror, and your stomach drops. You pull over, heart pounding. The officer walks up, you roll down your window, and before they even say a word, you blurt out the one thing you should never say. Most drivers make one simple mistake in those first 10 seconds that completely changes what police are legally allowed to do. You can't see it happening, but once it does, the entire stop shifts, and most people never realize they're the ones who handed over that power. I'm going to show you exactly what that mistake looks like, how it plays out in real time, and the exact words that keep you in control, no matter what the officer says. Let's put you inside a real stop, the way it usually goes wrong. You see the lights, you pull onto the shoulder, gripping the wheel. The officer approaches, leans down, and asks, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" Your instinct is to be polite, cooperative, maybe a little apologetic. So you say, "I'm so sorry, I know I was going a little fast, I'm just trying to get home." You think you're being reasonable, but here's what just happened. In that single sentence, you gave the officer something they didn't have before, your own admission that you committed a traffic violation. They might have only had a hunch before, a weak radar signal, or maybe they were just fishing. Now you've handed them everything they need to justify the stop and write the ticket. And that's just the beginning. Then they ask for your license and registration. You say, "Sure, it's in the glove box. Let me grab it." You can check whatever you want. I have nothing to hide. You flip open the glove box, and right there, sitting next to your insurance card, is something that looks questionable. Maybe a pocket knife, maybe an old prescription bottle without a label, maybe just a rolled-up dollar bill from the drive-thru. Now the officer sees that. You just gave them something else. Consent to look inside a closed compartment, and potentially probable cause to search your entire vehicle. All because you wanted to seem helpful. That's where this goes wrong. A traffic stop that should have lasted 7 minutes just turned into an hour on the side of the road with your car being torn apart. And the scariest part? You made it possible in the first 10 seconds. Now, I'm not going to get bogged down in legal technicalities, but you need to understand one simple principle that changes everything. During a traffic stop, the officer already has the legal authority to pull you over based on reasonable suspicion of a traffic violation. What they don't automatically have is the power to search your car, to question you endlessly, or to extend the stop for unrelated reasons. That extra power has to come from somewhere, and in too many cases, the driver hands it to them voluntarily, through casual words, nervous chatter, or a misunderstood gesture. The Fifth Amendment gives you the right to remain silent. The Fourth Amendment protects you from unreasonable searches. That means you don't have to answer questions about where you're coming from, what you've been doing, or whether you had anything to drink. You don't have to consent to a search. In fact, you can say no. And saying no does not mean you're guilty of anything. It means you're exercising a right. Most people get this wrong instantly because they've been taught that cooperation means total openness. But cooperation simply means handing over your license, registration, and proof of insurance when asked, and following lawful orders. That's it. Anything beyond that can be used to build a case against you. So let's replay that same stop, but this time you know it works. Lights behind you, you signal, pull over safely, turn off the engine, roll down your window halfway, and place your hands on the steering wheel. You can feel your heartbeat, but your mind is calm because you already know the playbook. The officer approaches. "Do you know why I pulled you over?" You look at them politely and say, "I'm not sure, officer." No apology, no confession, no chatter. You've just kept the scope of the stop exactly where it belongs, on whatever the officer observed, not on what you volunteered. They ask for your license and registration. You say, "My license is in my back pocket. My registration is in the glove box. I'm going to reach for them slowly." You move deliberately, keeping your hands visible at all times. If the glove box contains nothing illegal, you retrieve the documents calmly and hand them over. If the officer then asks, "Mind if I take a look inside the car?" And this is where it changes. You respond with a simple, measured phrase, "I do not consent to any searches." You don't argue. You don't explain. You just state it clearly. That phrase is your anchor. It's short enough to remember under pressure, and it's protected by the Constitution. Now, the officer might try to reframe the question. They might say, "Oh, so you have something to hide." That's a stress test. You stick to the script. "I do not consent to any searches, officer." "Am I free to leave?" If they have a lawful reason to detain you further, they will, but you haven't given them any extra ammunition. You haven't expanded their power. You've simply held your ground quietly and respectfully. Here's why this matters so much. That one decision keeping your mouth closed beyond the basics and declining consent can be the difference between a routine citation and a cascading legal nightmare. I've seen countless situations where a driver's nervous rambling turned a broken taillight stop into a full vehicle search, an arrest, and a court case that could have been avoided entirely. You don't need to know every nuance of the law. You just need to know what works. If this is helping you understand something most people never learn, hit subscribe because we break this down in simple, real-world terms every week. Now let's lock in the memory because under stress, your brain will reach for the easiest thing. Here's the framework. Hands visible, documents ready, mouth shut. When asked anything beyond identification, you say, "I do not consent to any searches." And if the questioning continues, you follow up with, "I'd like to remain silent, officer. Am I free to go?" That's it. Calm, controlled, repeatable. This goes back to those first few seconds we talked about. The moment the window rolls down, you are the one who sets the boundary. The officer's job is to investigate. Your job is not to help them build a case against you. That's not being uncooperative. It's being smart. It's knowing that silence is not an admission of guilt. It's the shield the law already gave you, but no one handed you the instructions. So the next time you see those lights, you'll feel that familiar spike of adrenaline. But instead of panic, there will be clarity. You'll know that the single biggest mistake is handing over power with your own words. And you'll know the exact phrases that keep the stop exactly what it should be. A minor interruption, not the start of a legal battle you never saw coming. Because once you say it, it's no longer just a traffic stop. It's an investigation you accidentally authorized. Have you ever said something during a stop that you instantly regretted? Drop it in the comments, because when you see the pattern, you never unsee it.